So, welcome to our first video on using our new calculators. You'll notice here that I have some software that will allow me to show you what to do with your calculator. Over here I have all of the buttons that you have on your calculator, and here is the screen that you'll see when you turn your calculator on. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you some things, and I'd like you to follow along on your calculator device at home. And also, you should make yourself a couple of notes of the most important things. So, when you turn your calculator on, you should find this screen here. If you've already been playing with your calculator, you may not automatically go to this screen. To get back here, you need to press this button here, the button with the house, to go to the home screen, which is this one here. Now, before we start with what the scratch pad is and what documents are, I'd just like to show you where the settings are. So you can access the settings either by clicking on settings. You'll notice when you rub your finger over this part of the calculator that the cursor should follow you on the screen, and you can click using the middle section of this area of the calculator. So you can scroll over and click on settings to launch your menu. If you don't want to do that, and actually I find that quite an annoying way of using the calculator, you can use the numbers 1 to 5. So if you press the number 5, then it brings up the menu here. So if you've already set up your calculator and you've put it into German, and you'd like to change it to English to make sure that you see the same as what I see on my version, then you can always go to change language, and you'll see I've got mine on US English, which I think is a fine one for us to start with, and then you could always change it back to German later on. So I've selected English, and if I changed it, then I would just click on OK. Now, also in the settings menu, you see you have document settings, and we have a lot of options here of things that we can change. The only thing that I really would like you to change is change the angle from radians to degrees. So if you just select this drop down menu, or you can use these 4 arrows to navigate your way around, so you don't have to always use the mouse function. And then go down 1 to degree and change that there. This is how many digits will be displayed in different things. Otherwise, I think, and this is the other one, the calculation mode. Now, if you select here exact on the calculation mode, then it will always give you your answers in terms of square roots or fractions, rather than giving you the decimal representation of the number, because this is the more exact way of representing the number. If you had an irrational number, like for example the square root of 2, it can only show you that number exactly by giving you root 2, as the decimal approximation is just that, an approximation. If you'd like your numbers to always be shown as decimals rather than as roots, or maybe involving pi, if they're numbers that involve pi, then you can change this to approximate. You can, though, also within documents change things between the two representations. And as we go through in maths and we go up the years, we'll be using the exact representations of numbers more and more often. So I'm going to leave mine at auto. If at the moment you'd like to change it to approximate, then you're welcome to do so, but I would recommend you get used to working with square roots and irrational numbers like pi more and more often. And that's about it, really, because we certainly don't want to change it to a binary base. Okay, and once you've changed all the settings here that you'd like to change, then if you click on Make Default, then that means every new document that you produce will take on these settings. So I'll select here Make Default, and then I will confirm. So you'll notice that we have two main areas. We have the scratch pad and we have documents. Now, the scratch pad, as the name suggests, is a less formal area of the calculator. So you can click, for example, on Calculate to open up the scratch pad, and here you could do calculations. For example, if I put in 2 plus 3, and press the enter button, then it will tell me that the answer is 5. So that should work like you're used to a calculator working. You can also switch to this tab here, which is the graphing tab. And the scratch pad has these two functions, so you can calculate things and you can draw graphs. And whatever you do in the scratch pad doesn't affect the document that you have open. Now I've been moving between the calculator and the graphing application by clicking, and you can also do that within your calculator application by moving your finger across here and clicking on the different things. However, again, it's a bit more annoying to use this. If you want to do it using the keys, if you press the control button and then you press the arrow this way, then it will take you onto the next screen. And that trick also works within the document pane that we'll see later, but I thought I'd just show it now. So we can also move back by going that way as well. If we want to leave the scratch pad, we can either press the X or I can just press escape to take me back to this main home screen here. So let's talk about documents. Now, you will notice along here that we have lots of different applications, and actually these are all of the applications you can use within a document. So the scratch pad is just a place for rough work where you can calculate things and graph things. In the documents, you can do a lot more things. So if I put a new document, and if you've already had a document open, it will ask you if you want to save the previous one you're working on. So you can save it, and then it will be available under the My Documents heading, under the home screen, under here. But if you've just been playing around and you don't want to save it, then obviously we can just click no. So first of all, we need to add a page to our document. Now documents can have a series of pages, and the really nice thing about this calculator is that we can have pages working together within the calculator. So if I define something in the calculator application, a variable for example, then I can have a graph in the graphing screen that then works with the same variables. So I just change something in the calculator screen, and then in the graph screen it will change for me automatically, depending on how I've defined things. And so all of these different applications can work together, and we can see different representations of the same type of mathematical problem, which should make things a little easier to imagine. You know, we also have geometry, spreadsheets, we can work with data as well, and notes and things. They might be something you might be more likely to use in the sciences, because you can also run experiments using your calculator. So first of all, if we add a calculator, then if I want to add a new page to my document, I press the control button and then the doc button. And I could add a graphs page, for example, and I can use the same trick that I used before to move between the two applications. And you'll notice that the document names, so the names of the different tabs, 1.1, 1.2, show you that these two tabs are within the same document. Once you have more applications, let's say if we also added another geometry application, and we had a couple of things going on here, sometimes it's annoying to scroll through each one. So there's also the page sorter view. If you press Control and then the up arrow, then you get an overview screen of all of the different pages that you have within that document. So then you can select the page that you'd like to go to and click on it, and that page will open. From the page sorter view, you can also change the order of problems within your document. So to do this, what I would do is I would select the page that I wanted. Say, for example, I wanted to move this graphing page into the middle. Then I press Control and then the middle click button, and that grabs that page. Then I can move my arrows to change its order. Say I want it in the middle. I press that click button again to drop that page where it is, and then I've moved it around. So now, if I go back to my problem page and then I move along, you'll find that that's then in the middle. I can also change the layout. I don't have to have this so-called full-page layout where I just view one of the tabs in my screen. I can also, if I click the button Document, and then the number 5 for page layout, then you'll see under number 2 there are a number of selected layouts that you can choose from, so pre-done layouts, or on number 1 we could go for a custom split, so we can press the plus arrow, or the plus icon, sorry, to increase the number of splits, so I could have up to 4 splits, and the minus arrow to get rid of a few. Then I would just select the area I'm in. So here I have my geometry area, which I had before. Then, if I select this area, then I could add calculator part to this one, and here I could add the graphs part to this one. Now you'll notice that my geometry application has a slightly darker outline around it. This means that this application is selected within my document. If I'd like to move to a different one, if I just press the Control button and then Tab, it will move the selected area to being this area here, and again for the third one, and I can go back to the original one. And we can use this function to swap the applications within the screen. So if I go down to select this graphing application, let's say I'd prefer to have this one up here, then I can press Document, then Page Layout, Swap Applications, and then I can just select the application, so this one here that I wanted to swap with, and then those will be selected and they will be swapped. So now I have calculator, geometry and graphing application. If I then decided that I'd like to actually maybe delete this geometry application after all, I can go through and select it with the Control tab. Then I can select Document, Delete Application. So Page Layout, Delete Application. And then I just have my calculator one and my graphing one, and I can swap these over just as I did with the Swap Application option before. So under Page Layout we have quite a few different options here. So we can split it in a custom way, use a pre-selected layout, I can swap my applications, I can delete my applications, and if I don't want this whole page anymore, then option number 6 here, I can delete that page, and then I'm just left with the 2 original pages I opened, rather than not have that third one in there as well. So hopefully now you feel confident in opening a document and flicking between applications and changing your layouts and things. I'd like to get some of these more mundane tasks with the calculator out the way first, so that then you feel confident actually when it comes to using it to solve problems, you feel confident with all of these things and they're not something you have to worry about anymore. If you have any questions about this part, then you could leave me a comment below, or you could ask me in class next time. I don't mind. But if you left them in a comment, it would mean that everyone would be able to see them, and I would also be able to answer them over the holidays, and maybe then I could prepare a supplementary video that answered that question for you.